Hi guys, welcome back to the Department of Filtration. Today we're going to be answering from at least one manufacturer a very interesting question, as I've seen some people ask before, is are filters that come from on a machine or a car from the factory that it was made in different to the ones you can buy off the shelf from the dealer? As in, obviously it's going to be different from a different brand, but is it the same as the one you can get from the dealer? So today I've got two different filters I've got from John Deere. These are all used, by the way, so it'll be a fair comparison. This is the John Deere RE504836 engine oil filter, which is just pretty standard. You know, heaps of tractors use these, John Deere tractors. I've done a video on these before. If you want to see that, you can find it on my channel. Just a normal review. We're not going to be reviewing these filters as such. We're just going to be seeing if there's a difference. And I've got a AL221066 transmission oil filter, which is another very common John Deere filter. Another used one. So these two, they're both used, but they're both service parts that have come off the shelf at a dealership. So if you walked into a John Deere dealership and asked for a part number filter, this is what you would get. These two are both off brand new tractors the first time they were serviced. The reason they're painted green is because when they make the engines, they just put the filters on and then paint the whole engine. You can see it's black here and a little bit thin. That's the back side of it. See, this one has got where it was against the engine. So you can see that's the same part number there, and this one, it's the same part number. You can't see it, but that's what it is. Now, for the sake of this video, it's important to note that these came off different tractors. I think this is off a 6195R, and this is off a 6155M. Pretty sure. These are both tractors that are made in John Deere's plant in Mannheim, Germany. Now, I believe that would be important later on. So, I'm going to sit these ones aside for a little minute while we have a look at the engine oil filters before we cut them up. So as I said, I'm not reviewing them, I'm only looking for differences. Now in the top, I'll also look at the dates and all that, but in the top, we've still got the B424. This one's got a green, this one's blue dot. I've seen them with all different colour dots, so I don't think that's much of a the green one here, it's black inside the rim, and this one inside the rim it's not. They look the same around the top and the bottom. One thing that I did notice when I was looking at these, as you can see right there, service part made in Mexico, factory fitted made in Poland. Which I've been thinking about this and researching it the last few days. These have been standard made in Mexico, either Donaldson or Fleet Guard. I'm not 100% sure, it could be either. This is the same as the Fleet Guard one, we know that for sure. I've done a video on that. This one's date coded 27th or 21st of the 8th 20. This was made in 08 2020. It's been on the tractor for, 6 months or a year. And it's been on and off. Now, for a long time, all the service part filters of this type I've seen have been made in Mexico. Recently, at the local John Deere dealership, I've seen that they've been getting a few of these in that are actually made in Poland. Now, they come in a different box, they're not wrapped in plastic, and they're made in Poland. The earliest we started seeing them was with date codes is about 0421, I think. Right, so I hadn't seen one that was made in Poland before 0421. But I'd also been getting these ones made in Mexico, date coded, 0621. So they've both been, I sort of had both of them there for a little while. Interestingly, this one that's made in Poland has a date code of 20th or 28th or 9th of the 10th, 19. As I just said, the serviced parts that we've seen at the dealership, the earliest ones are 0421. But obviously they've been making in Poland before then, but we haven't seen them as a service part. The theory is, we know that with the coronavirus and all that sort of stuff, and factories and getting stuff in freight is very hard at the moment, and that there has been significant delays, especially with filter companies. I know that they're struggling a lot. My guess, this is not 100% sure here, my guess is John Deere, or whoever makes these, has plants in both places, in Mexico and Poland, and they run both at the same time. Now, normally, all the John Deere stuff gets distributed through America. So wherever it gets made, it gets sent to the US warehouse and then distributed to where in here, particularly to Australia from the US. So it makes sense that these service parts get made in Mexico, sent to the US, and then to here. Since the tractors are made in Germany though, it would make sense that if they had another production line in Poland, that they would just send the Polish ones straight to Germany and put them straight on the tractors when they're building them. So that's what I reckon what the go is there. And then recently I've seen some service parts coming through made in Poland. I think they're having major supply issues from Mexico. So they've been taking parts off the production line tractors line in Poland and selling them as service parts. So that's my little theory there. That's from the outside, that's the only difference I can see between these two. Be interesting to cut them open and see what we got, but we'll have a look at the transmission filters next, because they are actually interesting. Date codes on these is on the bottom, so that's 0420. I've been scratching around on the bottom here. I can't find a date code on this one, but I'm going to say it's around 1920, 19 or 20, given the age of the tractor. Now you sit them side by side, if you got a keen eye, you're already seeing differences. The top here, this one's evidently quite a bit smaller. That's got a big rim on it there. If I sit them so they're about the same height, you can see the part number is down a lot further on the factory fitted one. No, I haven't seen any other differences yet. Oh, I did actually, yeah. You see here, let's sit that. and the edge where this folds in, there's a little gap between that and the filter base. And on this one, it's quite considerably larger. I don't know if I can get my... Stick that in there. It's a bit over 2 mil. And that one, I can't even get the things in there, so that's smaller as well. So I'm going to cut all these open. These ones, they're all very hard to open with tin snips, I know, because I've done it before with all of these types of filters. I don't have a filter cutter tool yet, so I know it's not ideal, but I'm going to have to cut them with the grinder. But we're not really doing a review, we're just looking to see if there's differences. So if I cut them all with the grinder, then it'll be fair and be able to see. So I'll be back in a minute. Alright guys, we're back. Just got these laid out just for the sake of easiness, because they're just filthy. In terms of our cans, apart from what's written on the outside, they're the same. It's hard to measure them because this one's got an extra few layers of paint, but you know, they're about the same thing. These are our O-rings. They're both exactly the same. There's no differences there. Springs. Once again, it's just the same thing. Base plates, as I've already seen, they're the same. And our cartridges, you know, it's the same. Complete spacing looks about the same. I took a sample of each thing. We can't look at it on the microscope because it's literally just black, but you know, it's just a cellulose. There's nothing behind it or nothing. So in terms, and I'm not going to cut the media out with this just because it's obvious that they're the same and the plate spacing looks the same. So I'm just going to leave these ones at that and say this one's made in Mexico, this one's made in Poland. I reckon that this is a production line factory and this is just a service part factory. In this case, they are exactly the same. There's no differences that I can see in these filters. So we'll move on to the transmission filters. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, as we can see here already, this one are different. After the disappointment of the first one and knowing that they're the same, got a little bit of excitement here. So starting with the cans, they feel like the same thing to me. I mean, the gauge looks the same. These ones have got nuts on the bottom, they're the same on them. There is a difference in the spot welds down the bottom though. In the factory fit you can see they're big nice circles. On the service part they're just little tacks. I'm not going to tip it up because it's got oil in it, but I tell you just by me that they look the same on the bottom. Cans feel the same, got different pictures on them. Move on to the base plates. And yes, we have differences again. The center looks similar, but the actual plate, you can see on this one here, when I tip it up, it goes down, comes out and then tapers down on an angle. I reckon that would allow better oil flow around the top of the element cartridge. This factory fit one. There's no angles or tapers or nothing. It's straight across, flat at the top. In terms of that, the holes are the same, but it's definitely a different design there in the top. This one could possibly be stronger but more restrictive. This one obviously different. I can't really weigh them because they've been mangled with the grinder. Definitely a difference there. We move on to our cartridge. Now, very first up, you got something obviously different there. Got a bit of packing strap, pallet strap around the edge there. Not quite sure what the purpose of that is. I'll probably to hold the media in. I don't know, but the factory fit one didn't have that. Now if we look at the glue, the factory one is a lot more liberal with the glue. We got heaps more glue here. This one all over the shop, hence the extra little bit known as dripping with oil. That's beautiful. In the top we can see different end caps there. This one's been done show me. It's hard to get. These are glued into there, so that's quite hard to get out of. And they don't have any springs in them. They sit very tight in the canister, and they are hard up against the bottom. And then this has got a taper on it, so as it's assembled, it seals down in there. As you can see from the thickness of the can, I'll measure so that you get an idea. Like, this is over 1 millimetre thick. That's how thick the can is. There's a very high pressure hydraulic filters. So, different base plate there, and this one's also got little locating tabs. That one doesn't. On the bottom, looking the same though. Have a look. Looks like the same inside. I'll give this a quick measure. It's to my eye. That one there is 115.5. That one's 111. So the factory one is taller. If we do on that, we make some diameter. 86. That one is a fray smaller, a few millimetres smaller. I will cut the media out of these ones since they are actually different. I want to see if there's a difference in the length or if they're going to be the same. But there is actually major differences in construction. Like, these could be different brands. Like, if I was doing a review, I would have thought that these were different brand filters. But we will cut the media out and have a look at that. Right guys, we got the media cut out and they are the same length. So there's no differences there. It's a nice synthetic metal backed media. One thing that I did notice different though, this is the factory fit one, the service part one. Very interestingly, as you can see, this middle is still attached and you sort of got to peel it to take it off. Whereas on the factory fit one, it was just sitting there, and I literally just, like, it fell off, like I wasn't attached at all. It was just sitting in there behind the media. I can't see any difference in the media without the microscope on that one, and the tubes, they're the same in the middle. One thing I did notice, the service part one does actually have rust on the inside, which is certainly not ideal. It's not what you want, but like I said, this isn't a review, this is a comparison. And end of the line with this one is, yes, it's a different filter. It does the same thing. Most important part is the same, but it's not exactly the same. This one has got different base plate, different end caps, different media gluing. It's got this piece of plastic stuff. Difference on how they're printed. And the engine oil filters were the same apart from where they were made. You had a Polish one and a Mexican one. So the difference, this is different enough that I would tell you to go out and try and find yourself a factory fit version. No, there's no reason why the service part would be an inferior oil filter, but if you asked me if they were the exact same thing, I would have to say no, they are not the same thing. They'll do the same job, but they're not the same filter on the inside. There you have it. I don't know about other manufacturers or what they do or if their filters are different. I've had a look at 2 John Deere filters, and no, they are not the same. The factory fit is different to a service part. So if you appreciated this video, let me know in the comments any other ideas you'd like to see and test out, any filter myths you'd like me to investigate, then let me know and we can have a look at them.